When it comes to the future of our children, they say it takes a village or a community. In our community, we have a local organization that's helping families do it all. It's called Shore Up. Among the many services that Shore Up provides is Head Start, a pre-kindergarten education and parental support program. And joining me today is Dr. Corey Bowen, the director of Head Start and Early Head Start. So Dr. Bowen, can we start off by helping people understand what Head Start and Early Head Start programs are and who they serve?
Yeah, so Head Start and Early Head Start are programs that are designed to help low-income families get their children school ready, if you will, to be more successful in the K through 12. Statistics show that children in poverty more often than not have a lot of barriers that will impede their ability to thrive and be successful in terms of getting to school, staying in school. What do I mean by that? Food security, housing security,
Sure.
Things of that nature that would divert the focus or the attention of the family of trying to work with the child more so than where's my next meal, where am I going to live, those type of things. So this program has been designed to be free of charge for children who qualify. It's based on age and income, so you have to meet certain guidelines, but if you qualify, we provide right now 5-day a week, full day care. We provide meals, we provide transportation.
Wow.
We do screenings for health, so those things are all trying to stabilize that family so that they are not focused on that piece, but also it allows families to be able to work because now you've got childcare.
Right.
So the idea is for us to support the children and families to be able to be school ready by the time they get to kindergarten.
Because let's just say, for example, a child enters kindergarten and then another child comes from a different home, enters kindergarten. They're probably not on the same page.
That's correct, because we don't know, sad to say, who some children may have the benefit of having someone who is actually caring for them outside of the home during the parents' work. Other ones could be with that aunt or uncle just gives them the book or the tablet, sit in the corner.
Sure.
Don't bother me, just sit over there. Here's your meal. Don't bother me. Type situation.
I'm babysitting.
Yes.
So, yeah.
And that's if they're in a safe situation. Unfortunately, there are some children who are not in safe situations, because they're being, hauled here, hauled there, or today with this one, tomorrow with that one, next week with that one. So this program provides opportunity for stability, security. So again, that we're able to work with families to get the children ready, but also provide economic stability in terms of being able to work and not to pay for childcare.
That is such a huge factor here because it's expensive.
It is, and it's not getting any cheaper.
And I could work, but only to afford the child care to have my child cared for.
That's correct.
That's kind of crazy.
But sad, but true.
And then, this, over time, this changes because if they don't start off on the same page and, one student is succeeding up here and the other one is lagging behind, it kind of sets them up for failure if they're not prepared.
That's right. So you may have heard the term achievement gap in the public school.
Yes.
So that's kind of a contributing factor in terms of what children come into the door with in terms of being socialized, being able to count, read, not Russian theory, but being able to count, recognize letters, spell the name, things of that nature, to be able to help them catch up, keep up with their peers when they get to kindergarten. So we do our best to try to make that happen. Sometimes it's more easy than others. Sometimes it's children that we see because they were so far behind, and we see them sometimes nonverbal, non-social. But I'd like to say if we get them to neutral, at least they will talk. They know colors, they can have a conversation, they can play with their friends. Okay,
communicate.
We've made progress. So now public school, okay, we're going to hand them off to you.
Take it from here.
Yeah, but you got it from here. But yes, but we, for the most part, are trying to make sure that they are ready to compete or be with their peers when they get to kindergarten.
What sets you apart from other, early childhood programs?
So other early childhood programs may or may not follow curriculum. We have a research-based curriculum that we use for our children on a daily basis. We report out statistics, data collection, analysis on progress. We report out to our board of directors, parents on progress of children. We have parent conferences. So we try to emulate those things that the school system does, again, in preparation for when they get to school. These things will already be in place. Parents understand how this works.
Sure.
So that way they know what to expect, how to advocate for their children when they get to public school, if they are in need of help. If we have children with special needs, our program mandates that we serve children, at least 10% of children with disabilities, to try to help get services in place for them. Statistics also show that early intervention helps a lot of children, and we've had children who started out with an IEP, for example, and by the time they leave us, it's no longer there because they've been able to catch up, keep up, and be able to go mainstream.
That's amazing.
Yes, it is.
So what is a typical day? Look, I drop my son off. What will he experience in Head Start?
So program is pretty much 7-hour day. When he comes in, he'll be greeted by staff or get off the bus. We provide transportation, but he'll come in. They'll do hand washing, they'll have breakfast, they'll brush their teeth, they'll do some learning, they'll do some play activity in the center, and they'll have lunch. And then they may go out, how the weather permitting, they'll be able to go outside, may come in for a nap. They take naps during the day.
Yeah.
And then they'll have an afternoon snack, and then they'll go home and be ready to come back to start the next day.
And I think it's almost, when you think about how old are they? They're
So early Head Start is age 0 to 3.
Okay.
And then Head Start 3 to 5.
Okay.
So the two programs, while they are continuous, but they are separate entities in terms of the activities and the qualifications. But a child can progress. We had infants that we have, and they can stay with us up until they're 5 years old.
And I think that for me, I look at that as like even setting expectations and accountability for kids. It's like, this is how it's going to roll when you get to kindergarten.
Right.
You're already kind of establishing those habits early.
That's correct. But again, not just for the children, but parents also, because
that's true.
When you get your child into the habit or the routine of coming to school, they like school. They want to be at school. They want to be with their friends. And they don't want to miss time away. They're excited to go.
Right.
So when you plant those seeds early, again, the probability of them being successful K through 12 is much higher because been there, done that. I like this routine. This is a good place to be. As opposed to, I don't want to go. I don't like school. You know how that goes.
Totally. I remember. I'm minor in college now, but I remember pulling teeth to get them to school.
Like, get up, get
and
dressed,
I'm
get
sick.
this.
And I'm like, no, you're not. Do you have a success story that you can share with the people watching?
So we've had children who come through the program who are generational in terms of coming through Head Start, being successful, come back to work for Head Start as well. So is Julie mentioned Ariana. She's a teacher at Graysonville Center who was taught there, working with her former teacher, and then her child is now also in the center.
Okay.
We have a site coordinator here in Salisbury who was a Head Start child. She's now directing one of our largest centers.
Wow.
In the program. And look, Julie, I'll brag on myself now, and I guess from that standpoint.
That's okay.
So as I said, Head Start is turning 60.
Okay.
All right. So when Head Start began, it started in Berlin.
Okay.
My great-grandmother was the first Head Start director.
Really?
In the area. And so I would have never imagined all these years later that I'd be in her footsteps, following through with Head Start as it started out those years ago.
This is actually, let's talk about all of the counties that you serve, because you said it's more than just even Worcester, Wycomico, Somerset.
That's correct.
And then maybe touch on the challenges that you face serving a rural area, because that's what we live in.
All right. So right now we provide service in Kent, Queen Anne, Talbot, Dorchester, Worcester, Wycomico, and Somerset counties. Okay. So of course each county is unique in itself. Resources that are there one location are not in other places. Being from this area, I know Worcester, Wycomico, Somerset at the back of my hand.
Sure.
And Dorchester I'm learning, but when I get to the upper reaches, Talbot and Queen Anne's and Kent, they're way out there. So being spread out few and far between. So sometimes transportation, getting children to and from. We try to limit the bus ride for children to an hour at best. At best, but sometimes,
especially when they're little.
Yes. But sometimes the outreaches, as I say, the far reaches of some of the counties, like, wait, where is that?
Yeah.
How far is that?
But you don't want to leave that child out.
Right, that's correct. And if there's a need, we will try to figure it out. Because again, our mission is to serve children and families. So if that child needs assistance, and we try our best to figure out how can we make it work, what
Sure.
can we do to make it happen and make it work. We even had some parents in past years, okay, well, if I can just meet you at this location, then
Right.
can you get me in? Like, sure, we can make that work. We can do that because they're just so far out. And the problem more often than not is we have to go so far out for one child and come back that pretty much eats up the hour time on the bus.
Yeah.
So try to make it up. So, but we try to think creative, think outside the box to make it happen. The other thing I would say from a resource standpoint, when it comes to the health screenings, sometimes children are not getting the support outside of us. So our program mandates that they receive a health screening and a dental screening within 90 days of enrollment, so we can assess what's going on with that. Because if there's services that are needed, intervention needed, let's get on that right away. Because
Right.
again, that could impact the child's ability to thrive in terms of learning or other health issues. So sometimes trying to make those appointments to follow up, sometimes trying to get access to resources for them, again, in the far reaches is difficult. The other thing that we benefit from is by being a part of SHRP. SHRP is a CAP agency, Community Action Program agency. So we are in a position that we can also provide wraparound services for families as well. So while
Okay.
we do early childhood education, some of the other things that SHRP provides, energy assistance, housing assistance, job readiness, job preparation. We do free income taxes when the season's there. So there are other things that we can offer to help support that family even more,
Right.
to get them to self-sufficiency in terms of, again, being able to have that child thrive, but that family thrive around them, so that way the probability of being on public assistance or not being able to be self-sufficient is reduced as much as we can.
Sure. It's the full picture. It's the
Yes.
whole picture,
Yes.
from family, the whole dynamic,
Yes,
everything
we try,
involved.
Yes, we try to do all that we can to uplift that family.
Do you think that enough people know about you? And
We
what you
like to
do?
think yes, but
Okay.
some studies, some data, some recent conversations are saying no. A lot of people don't know that we exist. So we try to spread the word. We try to get ourselves out there. I will give my colleague Julie a shout out in terms of social media communications.
Sure.
Julie does a phenomenal job at broadcasting things on our Facebook page, our Instagram,
Yeah.
on our web page for the agency. We try to publicize as much as we can. We try to take part in community events as often as we can
To educate everyone.
folks, exposures, yes, and not just for Head Start per se, but also for SHRP as a whole, because
Correct.
operating as the agency. But we're finding, as more people coming to the area, who don't know or wasn't aware, it's like, oh wait, I didn't know. And we even, so one of our other mandates is, it's called a policy council. Parents have to be a part of our board of directors and the governing body, calling it the PTA. One of our
Okay.
parents, she drives for Uber. And she said, I'm always talking about Head Start. And she said, can I get some brochures? Because people don't know that we're here.
Yeah.
So she wanted brochures to have in her vehicle. So when she's talking about child care things, she's like, hey, take a brochure.
She's
Yeah,
advocating
she's
for the
advocating, yes.
organization.
Exactly.
I mean, those are ambassadors in a sense.
That's correct.
for
That's
you.
correct. That's correct. So, we want to make sure that people are aware that we exist and that our services are available for those that may qualify for them.
There's some threats that federal funding is it's going to have an impact
That's
on your
correct.
programs. Can we talk about that? I mean,
We surely can. So yeah, the threat is imminent. It's real. As of now, we know that we did make it off the complete chopping block.
okay.
So we're no longer on the zero funded.
That's
line
good news.
That's for now. Yes, for now.
Okay.
That we're in the skinny budget, as it's called. But we don't have a dollar amount. And then some colleagues were saying this before, maybe flat funding. Which, if we get any funding, great. So we'll have to take it and make it work.
Sure.
But the reverse of that would be, I guess, if we got zero funding, it would be devastating for the children and families that we serve, and not just in our area, but of course across this nation. Because again, the downfall would begin with children not having a place to go for childcare.
Right.
Then for parents who are already struggling to make it, having to pay for childcare. I had cousins that lived in Montgomery County, and to my surprise, they were paying $1,400 a month in childcare. And that was the cheapest they could find. That's the best we could do. So sacrifices they had to make to make that work.
Does
And
someone stop working?
well, they both work. My cousin said, jokingly, she said, I stopped getting my hair and nails done
Right.
because we had to make
Just didn't have the money.
We had to make every dollar count. She said, so their budget was really tight. So they talked about things they could give up in order to make sure that that both their children could be in care while they were working. But families not being able to work, so then that leads into the economic piece of there go mortgages, there go rent, there go car notes, insurance, et cetera. The ability to pay utilities, because another thing that we do at Short right now is energy assistance, but that's another program that's on the block that could be chopped. So therefore, that help is going to be gone. So there are
Let's keep the lights and the heat on,
exactly,
so your kids can be safe at home too.
Exactly. So there are a number of things that would have economic impact in the communities that we serve if parents are not able to work because they have no childcare or can't afford childcare. Right. And then the other thing that goes with that too, Maryland also just put a hold on childcare scholarships. Even the other help outside of us that was there is not available right now because they've frozen that program for the time being too. So there are a lot of things out here that can negatively impact all the communities if in fact we're not funded for next year's operation.
And I know you talked about 9 counties. How many families are we talking about here?
So right now, our program, we have funded enrollment for 170 Head Start children.
Okay.
So that's the ages of 3 to 5.
Okay.
And 242 early Head Start children right now.
Okay.
Yeah, so our total number is 412.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's a lot of families. Mm-hmm. And I think when I think that this is all free, these resources, even just to operate though, like you need people, you need, you need the funding to make it work.
Because more often than not, our families are low income or one of the other, there are some things that make you automatically eligible. For example, if you're homeless, if you're in foster care, or they receive SNAP benefits. But even with that, families that SNAP benefits are also based on your income. So without that, you have to qualify based on the national poverty level, for example. So in Maryland, when minimum wage went to $10 an hour, so that knocked both families out of being able to qualify because of the low threshold for the poverty guideline. Our poverty guideline is national, so we're lumped in with other states. Maryland minimum wage, for example, is $15 an hour.
Yes.
But some places, West Virginia and North Carolina, is like $7. So we average all that together. That's where the guidelines come from.
Okay, that's where that number comes from.
Yes. So again, at $10 an hour, both families were knocked out of the box. At 15, so great for Maryland. Livable wage, well, it's not exactly, but it could be higher, but at least it's better than 10. So we're making progress in that arena.
Sure.
But when you start looking at, even a 2-parent household, that's not a lot of money to live off of by the time you pay your necessities, your rent or your mortgage, your light, your food, your gas, your insurance, those things. There's not a lot left over. Right. So how do you squeeze childcare into that? So then that forces most families to go second job, sometimes third job, try to make ends meet to do what they have to do to get there.
Which means they're not spending time with their children.
Exactly. That part, that's it right there.
Which isn't good for the children or the parents.
That's correct, because it puts a strain on the family unit.
Family dynamic.
Yes.
Absolutely. Yes. So what can people at home do? Like we're hearing about this. What can we do to help?
So the reality of the matter is, we cannot control it, but we can try to help manage the process.
Sure.
Voices heard, that this program is important. This program does benefit families and children. This program does have merit. The things that it can do to support families as a whole, the things that it can do in terms of making sure economically communities remain stable, and not just here local, but again across the nation. Sure. When you look at all of the programs that will be affected across the nation. So for Maryland alone, for example, Head Start funds are about $135 million coming into the state of Maryland.
Okay.
So that funneling through supporting all 23 counties would have a definite impact if it were taken away.
$135 million.
Yes, that's what Head Start funds are in Maryland alone. Yes.
Okay.
So,
but when you look at the whole state, the number of families is much larger.
It's much larger, yes, and what ours, yes. So again, the ripple effect as it would play out, because you're not only impacting just those families who would be working for Head Start or whose children are supported by Head Start, but also the businesses that they support in terms of dollars that they can spend or could not spend because there's no money, there's no funding.
The economy.
Yeah, that's correct.
It all does. It's all connected.
That's right. That's right.
It's all connected. So people at home can.
So on our website we have information about how you can support us. Reaching out to your state senators, reaching out to Congress. There are letter campaigns, there's a petition that can be signed.
Okay.
When people are talking about Head Start now, you say, "Hey, I know about Head Start. I know what it does, and I know that it helps families." And more often than not, if you took the time to just ask questions, you're going to know someone who went to Head Start or worked for Head Start.
Okay.
If you start asking questions, you will find that there are people
that have been impacted.
Impacted right in your own social circle or
Sure.
in your own workplace that have been impacted, and can talk about the good that Head Start has done, particularly in this area, the good things that it's done over the years that it's been there. So we're about to celebrate our 60th year at Head Start. It's been in this for 60 years.
60 years.
Yes, Head Start turning 60.
So obviously it's been around for a while because
while.
it's doing some good work.
Yes, it
And
is.
that's what I would think, but and the way I look at it too, I'm a parent. You need to address it as early on as you can, because later on, if you try to address all those issues, it's almost too late.
Yeah, sometimes it is. So, kids are very resilient.
They are.
And can bounce back, particularly with early help, early intervention. And like I said before, we've seen children come in who've had IEPs for disabilities indicated or confirmed, but by the time they leave us, it's gone. Or we've had some children before they leave us. Oh, don't need that anymore. He's fine, she's fine, and they're ready to go to kindergarten to be successful.
They just needed some attention.
They just needed some attention or some help, yes, along the way. And early intervention took care of that as opposed to letting it linger.
Sure.
And then when they get into a larger situation, and our class sizes are small,
Okay.
so the ratios that we have, children can receive more individualized attention at times.
Yes.
From the staff there. So having that one-on-one sometimes, having that extra time sometimes is a help to help them bridge that gap, as opposed to when they get to public school, it's a larger situation.
Sure.
More children, may not be as much time to work with those children. Sometimes they get left behind.
Lost in the mix.
Yes.
Well, and I know that you're curriculum based. I like that.
Mm-hmm.
But and you talked about helping give resources to the parents and families, but even the families might need a little help with helping their student at home.
Right.
Do you provide resources?
We do. So we have another thing that we're required to have is a parent nurturing course, and it's research based also.
Okay.
So parents, we offer that. Parents can sign up, or sometimes we will slip things there.
Yeah, you don't want to offend anyone,
right.
But you're like, we can help you as much or as little as you want.
That's right. It's there. We also have parent committees at our center, so it's like the center PTA.
Yes.
And then those representatives come together for the larger council. We meet once a month to talk about program progress, our spending, our issues, situations. They also weigh in on staffing, hires and transfers and terminations. So the policy council is a part of this because the government felt that parents should be heard. This is a program for parents, so they should have a voice at the table about how things go. So
transparency.
That's right. We do a needs assessment every 5 years to see what the lay of the land's like, who needs the service, who's out there, where should we be, not be. So all those things we do to try
things change over time.
That's correct.
I know, and we have a larger Haitian population
Yes,
here.
yes,
So
yes.
maybe translators are
That's
needed.
right.
That's an
That's
example
correct.
of what I can think of.
And what and where are these populations located? Because there have been times when we were located or operating in one location, but based on those who qualified, all of a sudden everybody's overqualified. So that indicates, well, the need's not there, so we need to move our services someplace else. So so we've done that.
So the needs assessment is done every 5 years.
Yes,
That's smart. That's strategically,
to see what, who, when, where, why, and how exactly.
Would you ever rely on public funding, private funding?
There could, if the funding were available, it could, but the cost to run this program is high because of all the things that we try to do at no cost to the parent.
Right.
So depending on where you are, local and nationwide, the cost is different. The other factor
Okay.
in that situation is, as a Head Start grantee, or grant recipient, I'm sorry, as a Head Start grant recipient, we all don't come from the same background. So some of us, for example, here in Salisbury, we're a CAP agency. We're at Sure Up.
Okay.
But some are held by schools, some are held by YMCAs, churches, other nonprofits, some for-profit. Yeah, so the grant holder
Is
in itself,
different.
based on how you're set up. So, yeah, what funds may you have? Who is in your area? You know, what are the resources are there? Some people do have other revenue streams coming in that they can supplement.
Got
the
it.
program. Yeah,
So not every single program looks the same.
Right. That's correct. So
Okay.
that would vary from place to place. And I do know I was at a meeting a couple of weeks ago with other directors, and MSDE, Maryland State Department of Education, was present. And we're talking about the future and how things go.
Yeah.
And the question was, you know, would Maryland be able to foot that bill at that $135 million if Head Start funds was to go away? And right now, with Maryland's situation, the answer is no, they could not do that.
Right.
Yeah, they would not have the money to just, well, we'll take care of it. You know, so that's why we're, you know, again, trying to make our voices heard, get the message out that we need all the support we can to save our programs.
And I wonder, so here's my next question is that why wasn't Head Start from the beginning connected to the education system?
So,
Does that open it up a bag of worms?
I guess philosophically speaking,
Okay.
the earlier age groups were not. So we think about it, it was always at best pre-K,
Right.
which would be 4, because kindergarten starts at 5.
Yes.
So pre-K at the earliest was where things were with MSDE. The issue that you have with the younger age groups is now the amount of care needed, things that need at younger ages, and let's just be honest, transparent. Young kids wear diapers, and I've heard several teachers say, "I did not sign up for that."
Oh no.
So,
yeah.
in terms of being, you know, being potty trained and being able to
Prepared.
comprehend things, yes, it's a whole lot more care that's needed at that end of the spectrum than on this side. So, it was with the Maryland Blueprint actually that came out a few years ago,
Yes.
Dr. Kerwin's Blueprint, where Maryland decided, okay, we want to try to get ahead of the game a bit, and we're going to try to rope in the pre-K programs. But they started out with 4-year-olds,
Okay.
is where that was started. And then I was once told by a former assistant superintendent, after the 4s were in place, we tried to pick up the 3-year-olds.
Okay.
But the funding and infrastructure, great plan, great idea, but
Yes.
it's just that when it came to the counties to implement it, they ran into some challenges. Some counties didn't have the facilities to hold all those children. Some didn't have the funding to do the programming with, because the blueprint mandates certain salary ranges, certain activities be done. So you have to meet all those requirements
Right.
to go into action. Now, our pre-K expansion grants have the same, or not the same, but also have income guidelines. So comparison, Head Start poverty qualification is 130%.
Okay.
Pre-K expansion is 300%, but there's still guidelines there. So if you overqualified, you still can't come into pre-K expansion. But universal pre-K allows for all children to go.
Right.
And right now, I believe Somerset and Dorchester County are the 2 counties on the Eastern Shore that are universal, who've knocked down those walls. Now, from a Head Start standpoint, what does that mean?
Yeah.
I potentially would lose 4-year-old children, except for those whose birthdays fall after September 1st,
Okay.
the cutoff. But the reality is, if I'm going to hold true to my mission of getting kids school ready, that's actually a better situation, because now all kids can go. I still have limitations.
Yes.
So I can't help every child out there, but universal pre-K can.
Right.
So supporting that mission of getting kids ready, supporting families in the area, yeah, that actually is the better route to go.
Sure.
Because again, anybody can walk in the door.
Yes. And it's open
Yes,
to anyone.
Yes, as opposed to meeting these guidelines of the thresholds. And again, $15 an hour, a minimum wage job, even at $20 an hour, let's be for real, is still
Let's say you have
not,
2 kids.
Yes, exactly. is not a lot of money
Right.
to try to live off of, and also try to do extra things, i.e. childcare.
Sure. We're not
on
even
top
talking
of-
about
that's
having
right,
fun
that's
yet.
right. That's
you know?
right. You know, that's right. That's correct. So
Okay.
those things make a difference.
So really, right now, the future is a big question mark
Yes.
because of the funding.
The future is very uncertain because of the funding right now, and at best, like I told my staff and my colleagues, all we can do at the end of the day is say we gave it our best effort. We
Yeah.
didn't go down without a fight.
Sure.
We fought till the end. We
Keep advocating now, though,
Yes,
still.
yes. We may have to play the hand we're dealt, but we're gonna fight to try to make our voices heard across the nation. That we are important. We do make a difference. We can help families, and we have success stories, as you mentioned before.
Yes.
People out here who have benefited from the program, and again, not just local, but across the nation as well.
Sure. And then people at Watching can help too.
Yes, that's
because they
correct.
just need to share their voice.
That's correct. That's correct. So go on our website, www.showup.org. Information is there about how can you help, how can you support, and anytime something new comes out from All Head Start, I said, Julie, can you put this out there,
Yeah.
post it out there,
Yeah.
to keep it out there so that we try to stay in the forefront.
Stay in front
what's
of
going
people.
on. And we're saying that we're doing our part in the fight. Even on the Eastern Shore of Maryland, we're doing our part in the fight.
Because other people are fighting for their funding not
That's
to be
correct.
cut too.
That's
so
correct. And it's sad to say, we're not the only ones fighting.
it's competitive, right?
right. A lot of fights going on out there right
Sure.
now. That's correct.
But if we think about this is the future
Yes.
of our community, our businesses, everything really.
That's right. Even our children's education, because for those who don't have other access until kindergarten, here's an opportunity for some services to be provided prior to that time. So there's a lot riding on the situation.
Thank you, Dr. Cohen. So if you're moved by this interview and you don't want Head Start programs to be cut, then be an advocate, share your voice, talk to your local delegates to keep the funding for our local Head Start programs. Thank you for watching The Local Lens, and I'll see you next time.